From the Republican side of things, Michelle Armenta, senatorial candidate. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. I can't see you. Am I supposed to be able to see you?
No,
No, you're not missing
no.
anything on my
Yeah.
end.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I just wanted to see who I was talking to, but that's okay.
It's all right. So I guess just first of all, maybe introduce yourself for those people, because we have a lot of new candidates who might not know anything about Michelle Armenta. What are the key takeaways to figuring you out?
The key takeaway, some people might know me because I used to be the president of the Vigilance Committee, which focused on transparency. Also, some people might also know me from real estate. I used to be a realtor up until the end of last year. And I'm also finding that some people are recognizing me from a gift shop that I used to work at a Catholic, basically a bookstore. So I used to help out a lot of people doing that. But for the most part, I think anybody who really knows me basically knows that I'm a single mother, and that's my primary function.
And so, what are your reasons for running?
Well, let me tell you a little story real fast.
All right. I love stories.
So, while I was still with the Vigilance Committee, every once in a while I would show up on the TV, and my mom would yell out, "Jim," my brother, "Michelle's on the TV. Let's see what she's talking about." And then my brother would just walk in and say, "Oh, she's probably just complaining about something again." And so that kind of, it was funny, but at the same time, it really wasn't. So it's nice to submit all these FOIAs to get people to request them to do things. But when it comes down to it, like my brother said, I'm basically just complaining. So I need to step it up a bit and run for the Senate and get things done that I feel need to be getting done.
So what is your platform?
Well, my platform is basically priorities, frugality, and of course transparency. And with all of that, I think that makes a successful and it's the core elements for a successful government. So that's what I'm running on.
Michelle,
It isn't anything new, but it's just a matter of actually getting it done.
Right. With the transparency thing, having come from the Vigilance Committee, I'm sure you're very familiar with the shortcomings that the Democratic Party leadership in the legislature has had in terms of holding this Democrat administration accountable in terms of calling for the transparency. We saw some things late in the COVID where they were able to rally around Senator Theresa Lahi's transparency bill. But for the most part, what do you think, or where do you think the legislature has failed to really be that check and balance with this administration?
Well, see, one of the bills that I do want to work on when I get in was to protect our rights that you would think that already would be protected in the Constitution, but apparently they can be taken from us at any given point by an executive order. So I would like to focus on our right to religious freedom. I would like to, granted the right to bear arms wasn't an issue, but that's kind of near and dear to my heart a little bit. So I'd like to keep that strengthened. And a right to privacy, because I know there's going to be a lot of issues, regarding COVID. I also would like to put a time limit on how long you can submit an executive order to lock down the entire economy. Now, granted, I think the legislature should have some say in that after a given time. So that's one of the things that I would like to bring up as far as transparency goes in the legislature.
You also mentioned that one of your priorities platform will be focusing on frugality. Can you just give us a little bit more, be more specific in terms of where you feel that the government should be more frugal?
Well, I know that so we're getting ready we're in a financial crisis. We're only getting the benefit of the federal government and their generosity to help us out. But eventually that's going to run out. And I do know that a majority of the spending does come from wages and benefits. And I know a lot of people are freaking out a little bit about, okay, well, who are you going to fire? Who are you going to let go? And I think the problem too with government is a lot of people like to start with this huge idea of how we can fix a problem. And we really need to just start a little bit at a time, because sometimes that's all you really need to fix a problem. And the issue is we need to assess the situation, and then we need to target the problem, and then we need to fix it. And I think that, okay, so there have been some pay discrepancies that have come up. And from what I understand, it comes up during audits. And I don't understand why there aren't financial statements that are being held accountable on a regular basis. And I think that we need to look at everybody's pay, make sure that everybody's getting paid according to their job. We need to make sure that, we need to, and they're going to have to start making some pay cuts, and we need to start at the very top and start working down. So that's my plan.
When you say start from the very top, are you talking about like salary cuts?
I'm talking about salary cuts.
Specifically, like which employees of the government of Guam do you think should be the first to take a salary cut?
I want to look at the top earners.
You mean the governor's cabinet?
I'm not talking about the government employee who's making $30,000 a year, and we're going to start there, and then we'll see where we can go. But there's got to be some people out there who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars that probably it doesn't even fit the job description.
Mm-hmm. What about government reorganization? Do you see, we've often heard about government reorganization over the years. Do you see agencies that you feel we don't need, or agencies that could be combined?
Well, I think that a lot of the situation that's going on right now is a lot of agencies that may have been dormant are now being revitalized. And I think that needs to be examined. I don't want to give any specifics on that at the moment, but especially when they start, not even reinventing, but bringing back these organizations they've been dormant for a reason. We don't need it. So we need to analyze that. And sometimes it's really hard, or actually I should say it's really easy to say, well, let's take this department and merge it together. When you look at all of the employees and you're actually talking to the employees, they're saying, well, we're understaffed and we're too busy, and they're not hiring people to fill the positions where other people are retiring, and they're just putting everything on. I have family that work for the government of Guam. So these are the things that I hear. But another issue that we have to realize is that we are also working with a system that is extremely outdated. And that's when we need to actually update our system so that everybody, they're talking to each other. And a lot of times too, when you're going into an organization, you go in with certain expectations. And sometimes I'll even get online so I can prepare myself before I stand in line for 3 hours, only to get sent back. And by the time I get to the front, they're telling me, I'm sorry, you need this document and that document and this document. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me this to begin with? It's not even on your website. I mean, something as simple as that. And that's what I'm talking about. You can just start at the very bottom, and then you can work your way up to the top. You address the situation, you acknowledge what the situation is, you address the situation, and then you fix it.
Michelle, I'd interviewed you. I think it was, it might have been late last year. This is when the Bureau of Women's Affairs Director Jane Flores was trying to bring an abortion doctor to Guam.
Yes.
And so you have a very strong pro-life background. That being said, I know that we had asked you to kind of tell the people a little bit about yourself, and you did. I felt like it was a little too little. So maybe go back to your upbringing and tell us how you were raised and held on to those pro-life beliefs that, I mean, you were all over that story, and you're not ashamed at all. Very proud to say. So just tell us a little bit about your upbringing, Michelle.
Okay, well, the reason why I kept it so brief is because when I don't, I really go off on it. And I know you guys just want me to keep it to a minute. My upbringing was, I was born in Albuquerque. So I'm half Chamorro. My mom's from she's a Borja from Senahania, and my dad is from Albuquerque. My dad was a Navy sailor who came here, fell in love with a local girl. They moved to Albuquerque. He got out of the Navy, had me, and then came back immediately after. So I basically grew up on Guam until my dad, where he was a police officer, and then we ended up moving back to the States, and he joined the military again. So we were on and off Guam, for a few years. So I went to high school here also. I just didn't go to junior high. And then I ended up graduating in Las Vegas. And that's where I ended up joining the Army National Guard and going to school out there. And then eventually I came back. And when I was living in Seattle, that's when I had my son. So I did some moving around. And that's when I realized how precious life was. I was going through all the stages with my son online as I was pregnant with him. And this also made me realize back when I was younger that I was actually scheduled to have an abortion, and I didn't realize how far along I was. And why are you doing this to me?
No.
Well, people want to know who you are.
Yeah,
I mean, we're trusting you with our future, right? So we want to know who you are.
And this is real, and I think this is a real insight into why you believe so strongly.
Yeah. So I was young. I wasn't in high school or anything like that, but I was young, and I really didn't think much of it because the idea was, oh well, you're not that far along, and it's really basically just tissue, and it ended up, I didn't ended up going through with it because I ended up having a miscarriage. And it's just, ever since then, that's when it hit me that, yeah, people understand that you get a lot more information online now. As far as what's going on, but there's still a lot of times when you're pregnant and you're not planning on becoming pregnant, and then you get pregnant, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll just take care of this, and then problem solved, not even realizing all the dangers that I'm putting towards myself, and the fact that I'm actually making the intentional decision to kill my child, which is the part that really disturbs me now. So even though I didn't go through with it because of the miscarriage, the fact that I came that close to doing it just really gets to me. And my whole thing was, I know that if I had just gone to my mom the way I should have, she would have supported me, but I was just too scared. And now we have to make sure that women know that there are places to go to here on the island to help you out, to get free pregnancy tests, to let you know where it is you are in your pregnancy, and how big your child actually is and how developed they are. And even at 5 weeks, they have a heartbeat, which is also why I really want to get on the heartbeat bill. So, and that's one of my frustrations also was, I was talking to some senators, and we at the Catholic ProLife committee, we just didn't see it go anywhere. And it wasn't just one bill, it was a couple of them. And I really want the heartbeat bill. So that in a sense would be my baby.
Michelle Armalenta here, Republican candidate for senator. Michelle, we've got a minute and a half. If you wanted to give your closing statement, you can do that now.
Well, I just want to say, I know that I don't have a lot of the political experience that a lot of people typically look for. But also one of the reasons, that I think I should get in is because I'm also for a citizen legislature. And I think if we provide that part-time legislature, we can get the professionals and the experts that we need in the legislature so that we can actually have better options to who we can vote for and who we can trust these ideas, so that they're more in tune with the community, and they're spending less time with the legislature and focusing focusing on the community. So I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is. I have no intention of being a career politician. I really just want to go in, do what I got to do, get it done, and then get out. So that's my goal. So if that's something that is interesting to you, and I have other ideas also, which I would love to share with people, but obviously we don't have time, then I would love to get together with some people. So please vote for me, Michelle Armalenta, Republican ticket, number 13.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll see you. Good luck.
See you in, after the primary. Wow.
Yeah. And that's why
I'm
I
so
kind of.
glad you asked that, because
yeah.
I was feeling like, okay, I really don't know who she is, other than she's a single mother, that she did real estate. She was with the Vigilance Committee, and she worked at a store.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't know Sabrina. I just know that when I interviewed her about this issue with this abortion doctor, she was just so passionate, and she spoke with such conviction that I kind of thought there had to be something there that personally tied her to this issue. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of insight into her character. So there you go. 9:30, and that's the whole purpose of these candidate interviews right here. I mean, you know, we could just go on and say, hey, yeah, I would ask you a bunch of nice questions, throw you some softballs, yay, biba, but
But
no.
now I feel like I know her a little, you know.
Right, yeah.
Not know her, but know her a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's what all we're trying to do here is, you know, especially for these new candidates, to, you know, give you guys a little insight into who they are. I mean, and hopefully who they really are. It's 9:39. We'll close out our last candidate interview. Just a little background here. Every single incumbent senator agreed to come on to KUAM News' Decision 2020 candidate interviews. The only one who did not, and she was actually scheduled for right now, is incumbent Senator Mary Torres. And I don't know what, she didn't provide a reason. She just said that she wouldn't be able to do it. You know, I'd offered another date to kind of work around in case of schedule. I didn't get a response. So it is what it is.
We'll try again.
Yeah, we will. And that being said, let's move on to our last interview.